Guys, I'm a shameless self-promoter. A few more good examples from my book. On the left side, we have Captain Saifa. On the right side, we have the Sultana Fatima. Saifa has to escort Fatima in Sultana's journey, hence the name of the title. Saifa is agnostic, while Fatima is pious. Saifa is a great warrior. Fatima is a satisfactory warrior. She can swing a sword, but nothing compared to Saifa. Saifa is poor, Fatima is wealthy. This creates a dynamic between the two. That's what they talk about a lot. Saifa talks about how bad it sucks to be poor. Fatima talks about it's not that nice to be wealthy. And Saifa tells her to shut the hell up because she's wrong. They're both hiding a secret. You gotta buy the book to find out. How to design a good character. As we discussed, you know, a good character is someone you can get into it with. Fantastic. Just trying to move quickly because I wasn't enough time for this. Made enough time. So how to design a good character? First thing you have to figure out what kind of character you're designing. Is it the main character story? Is it the sidekick? Is it a villain? Is it a random NPC? What's the setting? Is this feudal Japan? Is this Mideast? You know, Mideast. Is this Dark Ages Arabia? What's the gender? Male, female, something in between. Basis. You know, what are you looking for? Is it a warrior, a mage, something in between? Is, you know, just a common citizen who's in over their head? What's their motivation? What are they doing? Why are they going through this quest? What quirks do they have? I mentioned my mercenary character, who's great at spiders, excellent soldier, but he also has PTSD, and he gets through it by he sings a lot. So, in the middle of gunning down a bunch of enemy soldiers, he'll just start singing a pop song. Calvin Harris's Blame It on the Night, I think it's Calvin Harris. Just start singing that. What flaws they have, like I mentioned, severe arachnophobia, and PTSD. What themes do you want to have? You know, are you naming all of your characters based on a theme? Are they all loosely based off of, you know, Norse mythology? You have Thor and Odin or something. Like Alan Wake, the two, you know, old hair metal band guys are Thor and Odin. What are their names? After you get through all that, then you can start looking at names. You can do it before that too. You can come up with a name. All right, what name do I want? You know what? You can make a theme out of these names.
Is it a good idea to flesh out your character as you write, or should you try to flesh it out long before you add it to the story?
The way I like to do it, get it fleshed out a little bit before you start, because as you get to writing, once you get into a groove of it, your character will write themselves. But you want to have that good starting point, because without that starting point, then you're going to get ahead of yourself and realize that something you wrote before, you're going to have to go back and fix in editing, because, well, that's kind of uncharacteristic to how they came out. An example thing I'm working on currently, one of the characters, Birdie. He started off as, he's like the spy master for the Sultan. He started off as this guy that always talked in like an improper way. He would use the wrong tense, and then by chapter 8, he became, started writing himself as a more eloquent, intelligent person. So then I had to go back and rewrite all of his lines to get rid of that quirk because it really didn't fit with him anymore. But it wouldn't fit with him later on in the story. It's best to have your characters as fleshed out as possible, but you will never have them totally fleshed out until the story is on paper and done.
Sometimes characters just won't behave.
They won't.
Ever.
Character, she hates me for it. Writing it, she's a beautiful character, she's a great character. And then she made herself die. Just couldn't stop her.
Yeah. Happens all the time.
Like I said, first the setting. Where's the setting? Any themes to utilize? Element, motif, Chekhov's gun. What do they look like? You can get an idea, once you're getting the description. Spartans! What is your character's profession? Oh. What do they do? What hobbies do they have? What's their gender identity? Are they a male character but they identify as female? If you're writing first person, you can make a mystery through that. Everybody else refers to them as he, but they identify themselves in narrative as she. I but they always identify themselves as she. Sexuality, straight, gay, something in between. Personality or dialogue quirks. Do they have a stutter, lack of contractions? The one work in progress I told you, Simei's Ascension. The main character, Ling Pao, Simei, she never speaks in contractions. She's a well-educated, wealthy girl. So everything she says, it's cannot, do not. It's never can't, don't. Family, friends, enemies, frenemies. What's their motivation? What do they think? What do they feel? What do they fear? Phobias, any traumas, anything that they delight in. Do they love cheesecake? So even in the midst of a battle, do they bust through the window of a bakery, stop returning fire to go, there's cheesecake there. Can I get the cheesecake without getting shot?
Temporary cheese.
Now we'll go into question and answering mode. The way we're going to do this, anybody who's got a good question, I got a door prize for you. As a matter of fact, you got a really good question. You want a door prize? We got a few books, little handles, pins, Dick Jutsu pins. Have a little anthropomorphic penis on.
We still can't figure out why everyone thinks it's porn.
Yeah. It's just the site's old mascot. You got a question? Go ahead.
Well, you're talking a lot about playwriting. Do you ever break down your writing process into questions such as identifying problems by what are the rules of my world, am I following those? What is a major question that the character needs answered? Stuff like that. Do you ever break down your process that way?
Absolutely. One thing I always have problems with, anything that has magic in it, very few of them, in my experience, my reading, my playing, have finite rules of magic that I am okay with. Anything that I write that has magic, the magic always has, definite rules. One example that you'll have, look at Final Fantasy VIII, everybody's favorite Final Fantasy. Cypher has a technique that starts, you cast a fire spell and then attacks. Except that magic in that game works by how many spells you have available. But when he uses that technique, he's suddenly able to cast a fire spell without reducing his amount of fire spells available. And that breaks the reader, player, watcher, whatever, out of the experience a little bit because now you're breaking your own rules. Think of other examples. One story that I've written, it's also not published because it's not finished. There is magic per se, but it's actually chemistry. They just refer to it as magic. So it runs on the same premise that chemistry in the real world would work. That was a good one though. If you want to come up, grab something. Go ahead.
Do you think you can do too much world building?
You can. You get that a lot. When you're writing a book, or really whatever you're going to get it published, depending on your word count, that's really what your title falls into. A short story is anything under 15,000 words. You get into a novella, that's anything, or a novelette. I can never remember which one comes first, novella or novelette. But that goes up to like 40,000. A novel is anything over 60 or 80,000. A romance is anything over like 120,000 words. But that all gets broken up with either sci-fi or fantasy. You can generally expect between 20 or 40,000 more words for a sci-fi or fantasy book because not being set in the real world, there's so much world building that you just expect to have a longer story. You can world build too much if there's a lot of things going on in the world that don't involve your character or any of the characters in your story. It may not be really necessary. Imagine Lord of the Rings. Huge map, huge everything. Let's say that the story started in the Shire and went straight into Mount Doom.
Mordor.
Mordor, thank you. I was like, Mount Doom, where's Mount Doom at? And let's say they didn't go through Gondor at all, but all through it you get reports of the battle in Gondor. Nobody cares. We haven't been there, we're not going to be there, nobody cares. That's world building that you don't need. You can also be too descriptive about characters themselves. You get into too much backstory for them, and you always say show, don't tell. An example of that is to show a character, you open it up with them looking in the mirror and describing themselves. It's really a poor way to show versus tell. Telling is better in that aspect, to say how tall they are, what color their hair is. But you can tell too much. Has anybody read Moby Dick?
Yeah.
Good, it looks like nobody else liked it either. Moby Dick has an entire chapter devoted to describing the eye of the whale. You don't need that.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Also, like 100 pages to even hear about a whale.
Yeah. Yeah. You're in there by chapters. I don't know, I never finished that chapter. I was like,